Hi.
Talks.
It's Permani Brothers. I don't even know. I'm from here and I know how to say it. Hi, I need my Ignite people. I tweeted at you, but that means I need Dave Cliff, Jonathan Rudenberg, Chad Whitaker, and Casey West in that order on this handicap ramp, kind of in order. So that's Dave, Jonathan, Chad, and Casey. Now. Not that I'm rushing you, but now. Casey, where are you? There's Casey. Okay. Cool beans. Are my slides good? Can we switch to me? All right, Andrew, can you give him the microphone?
Sure.
Go.
And go. All right, how many people are on-call engineers here? How many people? Hands up, hands up, hands up. How many people are on call right now? All right, we're going to talk about parenting today. Does that make sense? Yeah, awesome. Well, first and foremost, I am a parent, all right? This is the most important thing about me. I am a parent, and I have a wonderful 2.5-year-old daughter. I have a wonderful 1-year-old son. By that, you can learn 3 things about me. 1, I haven't slept in 2.5 years. That's the way it works, actually. Second is, yes, my daughter is in a Seahawks cheerleader outfit. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. And then third, if you want to set up a play date afterward, we can. All right, I am also an engineer. I worked at Amazon, Microsoft. I now work at PagerDuty, and I'm trying to make the on-call experience better for all of you. That's what I'm here about. And I spent some time, actually, I interviewed a bunch of on-call engineers and parents, and I threw their responses into a word cloud, and this is what I came out. So not that interesting. But when you guys were thinking about on-call engineering and parenting, this is what you were thinking, right? No, this is not what you should be thinking. This is not redundancy. These are 3 separate babies, not 3 copies of one. All right, keep that in mind. All right, we are going to learn about how to be a parent, how to learn about baby duty from our experiences as on-call engineers, all right? This is really simple. When you first step up to being an on-call engineer, what do? Well, you probably read some books, right? We're going to read some books. There's some great parenting books out there, a couple that I threw up here. Raising Resilient Children, that's kind of appealing for us, resilience and engineering, right? I mean, it's kind of a useful thing. But these were recommended to me by my mentor, and I love that somebody mentioned yesterday, you got to get a friggin' mentor, all right? Get a mentor so your kid doesn't end up like this. You do not want this to happen, all right? Get a mentor. Now, one of the other things we do with on-call duty is there's something called shadowing, right? Shadowing. Shadowing is kind of creepy when it comes to parenting, okay? It's really creepy, so please don't try this at home. All right, let's talk about some more, maybe more practical tips as to how we can actually do some parenting, all right? So we're gonna talk about some practical tips. The first tip that I have to share with you, is quite simply that you need to monitor a lot of things, all right? We're gonna monitor our monitors. This is actually a very important thing. It's very near and dear to our hearts as ops engineers here. And just like parents, we actually need to monitor things too. We got to monitor our kids, right? Well, babies are kind of neat in that they kind of have these built-in monitoring and alerting systems into them, right? So, but the nice thing is that, the hard thing is that sometimes those things fail. And so you actually could get these things called baby breathing monitors. Have you guys heard of these? They're really friggin' useful, all right? They'll make you sleep better, which is really what this is all about. All right, point number 2, we need to share the load, all right? I work at a company called PagerDuty. One of the big things about PagerDuty, we alert the right person, all right? It's a person. You got to start with a person. You can't be getting up with your spouse, with your significant other, trying to take care of this baby. You need to share the load and divide, all right? Know when to escalate, and don't be stupid, all right? And for all of you single parents out there, God, I love you. You are a friggin' hero, all right? You guys deserve a round of applause right now, actually. Can everyone clap for single parents? Thank you. Yes, thank you. All right, third point, Ferberize. Ferberization, this is an important thing for parents, all right? This is the cry it out, self-soothing method, all right? Sleep training. We kind of do this in engineering as well, right? As ops engineers, we have systems that flap. You're 79%, you're at 81%, you're at 79%. You're getting paged over and over again. Well, you know what? I'm surprised that more people don't do this actually within PagerDuty. You can set yourself up to be alerted after a minute, so that if things go away, you don't get paged about them. Kind of a nice thing. All right, last point. Learn to communicate. Communication is hugely important. You got to know what to monitor. You're communicating with your systems. what to monitor, and good alert design. There's great talks, great blogs out there, Etsy, ops engineers. There's lots of great talks. For parents, you got to learn to communicate with your kids, all right? Baby sign language, really, really useful. Learn a couple of signs. It's really not hard to learn how to milk a cow, all right? You can teach that to your kids, really easy. All right, in summary, monitor your monitors, share the load, Ferberize, learn to communicate, and for the love of God, just every once in a while, take a step back from the on-call duty that you've just had, from your parenting, and just enjoy, just admire what you've built for the love of God, all right? It's so important just to take a step back and just love on it. All right, thank you.
Hi. I hope my slide comes up. Okay. Awesome. So I'm Jonathan, and I'd like to talk a little bit about turning ops into a scalable product. And before I do that, I want to kind of walk through like what deploying an app to production looks like from the developer perspective at a normal startup. The first one is to wait for ops to be available, because they're typically overloaded. So what you end up with is just wasting time, just waiting for ops. Then you have to wait for them to write the config management scripts to deploy your app. Then you have to wait for them to provision infrastructure, and then you have to work with them to deploy the app. This can take a lot of time, and you end up having to spend a lot of time blocked on ops. This is pretty suboptimal, and it doesn't have to be this way. There's no reason why ops needs to write new scripts to deploy every new Rails app, but this is how it works in a lot of places. There is a better way to do it, though, and we should not be consulting as operations team. We should take lessons from like product teams and look at how we can turn ops into a product. And I think the solution to that is to turn ops into a team that manages a platform. And that platform becomes the product that the operations team provides to developers. A platform gives you a lot of things that let you interface with development better. So what you can do is you can let developers deploy apps directly instead of having to go through ops. They can be more responsible for the production flows of their app. And you can work faster because developers don't have to wait for their operations team, and ops can focus on keeping things up and running and fixing things that are old and broken instead of building scripts to deploy things. You get a bunch of things for free when you have a platform. You get production parity staging to deploy your apps really quickly. You can standardize things like logging, monitoring, alerting, database configs. All this kind of stuff just comes for free. You can optimize utilization. So I work on something called Flynn, which is an open source platform as a service. It's mostly written in Go, and we're trying to do a couple new things in the platform as a service space. So Flynn is actually a bunch of components, and we like to call it pass Lego. So you don't have to use all the components. In fact, there are other platform services that use some of our components in their service. They're interchangeable. You can rewrite them. They're easy to understand. And they work together to make what looks like open source Heroku at the high level. The first goal of Flynn is high availability everything. I don't believe that ops should have to wake up when one or two servers go down in the middle of the night. That shouldn't be happening. There's no reason to do that nowadays. The second goal of Flynn is that you can run anything. Most platform services focus on running like 12-factor apps, stateless apps, and they leave the databases off to the side. We don't do that in Flynn. You can run anything you want inside of Flynn that runs on Linux. So the way we do that is with data store appliances, and these kind of like bundle up a bunch of the things that you would do when you deploy a database. So things like backups, streaming replication, and we have a service discovery layer that allows us to orchestrate this. So you can just say, I would like a database. We have a scheduling framework that lets you run jobs on the cluster directly. It's built off of the Google Omega paper. And everything runs in containers, including Flynn. It's self-hosting. So everything has quotas, and you have isolation, and it's very easy to move things around on the cluster and manage it. So this gives a lot of benefits operationally. You can deploy with git push deploys using build packs just like Heroku if you want to, but you don't have to. The Git deployer is actually just an API client that talks to the controller, and you can build your own flows using that API. In fact, all of the parts of Flynn communicate with using APIs that you can tap into. So the scheduler is a very low-level thing that lets you look at the cluster and see what's running and choose where to run more jobs. You could build like a CI tool on top of that, or you could build a Hadoop task scheduler. You can run Flynn anywhere. You can run it on your own cloud. You can run it in a public cloud. You can run it on bare metal. You can also run it on a combination thereof. So Flynn is currently in early alpha stage. It'd be great if you wanted to check it out. We're planning for production stability this summer, and I'd love to talk to you about it later. Thank you.
All right. Hi, my name's Chad. I'm here to talk about tools and culture. Ready? Okay. Tools and culture. I run a company called GitHub. GitHub is a way for your company to pay open source developers that build the software that you build your business on. That's what GitHub is about. And we are an open company, so let's talk about company culture. GitHub is an open company. We share as much as we can. We're funded on our own platform, and we share control. So we share control primarily, meaning anybody who shows up is a part of the team and can work on the product with us. There's no secret back room where we're doing stuff apart from you. We share information because that's a prerequisite. We share money because money is an abstract representation of control. So GitHub is funded on GitHub, meaning we even share our funding with you, our users, right? Okay. Let's talk about, come on, 15 seconds. Challenges, we have a fluid roster. That means, all right, so we have this company, we're trying to build this company, we're trying to do it openly. Companies use open source. What if a company was open source? Challenges there, we've got a fluid roster, meaning we have a core team, but then we've got a long tail of contributors. So how do you build a company with that kind of open source distribution graph? And the way that we do that is we try and find tools that fit our unique situation, and that's hard to do. And so the criteria for the tools that we look for tools that have public logging. So IRC, we can log it, right? And then anybody can go and look at it. We can share information that way. We look for bonus points, multiple logins. It's hard to manage when somebody comes and goes a lot. We need to be able to add somebody quickly and remove them quickly, and open registration helps with that, which is on the last slide. Let's riff on specific tools. So things that work well for us, we depend heavily on GitHub, and that's great because it has open registration and it has public logging. Everybody can go see it. But of course, it's not open itself, but that's fine. We don't super care about that. We'd rather have things that work well. But we've got a problem because an open company also needs people besides developers. So we need marketing, we need sales, we need designers, and there's a culture clash because you're not going to get your lawyer on IRC necessarily, right? So we're trying to navigate what tools to use. For example, we're working with Slack right now because the biz dev folks want to use that, but that doesn't make public logging easy, and it doesn't make and it doesn't have open registration. So we're trying to find tools that work with our unique situation. What we need are yeah, I would love to have more tools that support this kind of open and collaborative work together, so we can build products together, not just doing open source projects together, but building open companies together, building open products together. And if you want to help with that, you can come to building.github.com. That's our site where we share as much as we can. It's kind of our hub for people that want to get involved. And yeah, wow, all right. I want to be done. Can I be done? This is totally awkward. Sorry. Should have prepared better. Yeah, the last few slides are for me to clean up. If anybody wants to punch a penny later, we can. Make some more pennies. It is. It's legal-ish. All right. Right, so Heroku's giving on GitHub, MaxCDN's giving on GitHub, DigitalOcean's giving on GitHub, Khan Academy and Yet is our top giver. Balance payments, actually it's fun, we're actually talking to Stripe as well, so I think it'd be really cool to have both Stripe and Balanced on there. Yeah, so companies are using it. I'm next. But
During the Flynn talk, I thought about a new term, infrastrated. Like, who's ever been infrastrated? In any case, so nothing sells itself. We're all here talking about really great ideas for operations, for delivering software, and we know they're amazing, but the people who actually make the decisions don't know that. And I think sometimes we forget that it's not obvious that the thing we're talking about is the right thing to do, and we should do it now. So who decides big change in your organization? It's probably not you. If it is, great, but you usually have to convince people. And I'm actually the UI architect at a company called White Hat Security. And I'm here at a DevOps conference because in order to do UI well, I realized that we needed DevOps. And so now I got that job too. And change is a people problem. In order to do this, we actually had to convince a lot of people that it was worth their time and money and the opportunity cost to spend time building automation pipelines and being able to scale out our infrastructure quickly. That's an interesting choice. There we go. And in order to do that, it's actually a sales job. So solution sales is a thing, and the whole idea behind this is that the answers to the solution have to be agreed upon by the seller and the buyer. So you have a buyer, and it's okay to cheat. Salespeople bend the truth and tell white lies, and that's what I want to convince you guys to do when you want to change things. Mandy actually has a card in her Sorry deck. Mandy's a great engineer at TTM that just says Mandy wins, so she wins all the games of Sorry. So the truth doesn't really involve as many technical details as we think it does. We often like to talk about edge cases, and they're not quite as important as you might think when you're trying to sell a good solution. You want to sell an optimistic picture, and there are lots of details that I know we all care about, but the people who actually make the decisions might not just yet. They'll tell you when they do care about them, though. And it's optimism, and I know that we have a whole culture built around pessimism and being careful, but optimism is just a different kind of risk analysis. And, you know, white lies are not naivete. So if you're trying to sell a good solution, but you're not saying all of the ways it could go wrong, that's actually okay. That's just people hacking. And it's okay to hack people, not like hack people, but convince them optimistically that good ideas are actually good. Okay. So I wanted applause, and I convinced you all to give me applause. Thank you. So one example is GitHub Enterprise. We were running on Subversion up until a couple months ago, and making a new branch took a half an hour. And I wanted GitHub, so I convinced IT that they didn't have to support that Subversion server anymore. And I convinced the developers that we could actually create an entire topic branch and get it into CI for the time it took to make a new branch in Subversion. I also wanted weekly releases instead of a month. And in order to do that, I was able to convince them that the penalty of failing a release is drastically reduced. So we got that in. And there was a whole lot of change that had to happen there. Pre-merge CI is something that I wanted, so we didn't actually break the build, which made QA and IT happy. We got automated builds, which again made IT happy because there was reduced chance of unexpected change on the servers. And it also made developers happy because they knew their actual code was going to get into production the way they wanted it to be. Server configuration management is obviously important to us. Our IT team was doing constant audits of what was on a server because we didn't know which golden image it was based on. But we used Ansible, actually, as a nice way to streamline that process, and it was just SSHing into a bunch of stuff, so they didn't really care. Agile is also something that I think we probably all struggle in software development with a waterfall process that has been replaced, all the words have been replaced with Agile names to make it Agile. But that's, but so we actually changed the SDLC. So if you're doing it successfully, then this is the Venn diagram of what your job looks like when you're trying to convince people to make good change. You're just all up in everybody's business. So I have a different idea than what we heard yesterday, which was quit your job if it isn't going right or if you can't do what you want. I think that you should be so aggressive about selling the right thing to do at your company that they have to fire you to make you go away. And then you tell that story at your next interview, which could be with us or one of our great sponsors.
All right, who's got some life left in them? Who needs some food? It's coming up in a minute. But really quick, John Daniel, I'm going to give you a book. I'm going to tell you guys all now what books I have. I have a book called Web Operations. It's a great book. I have a book called The Art of Capacity Planning. These are all books I wanted. Beautiful testing, beautiful data, beautiful security.